Mike Warrington, City Council Member.
Ronnie Price, Mayor.
Shelby Carsolari, City Council Member.
Dr. Joseph Ford, City Council Member.
Homer Henry, Council Member.
Buck Buchanan, Police Chief.
Donna Davis, Chief Financial Officer.
Lance Onstadt, Assistant City Administrator.
Chad Russell, Fire Chief.
Rick Lance, Director of Public Works and Utilities.
JT Klaus, City Attorney.
Les Mangus, Director of Community Development.
Susan Renner, City Clerk.
Jennifer McCausland, City Administrator.
All right, this time Daniel Ivy with Anchor Baptist Church is going to lead us in prayer. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How y'all doing?
Could you pray about the heater?
I can. Let's pray. Dear Lord, as we come to you in prayer, we do thank you for this time to gather to make decisions that are going to affect the Andover community. I pray that you would just give wisdom to the city council as they make these decisions. I pray that you would help them to make decisions that would be both beneficial and help the community, help us to grow, help us to be the community that you would have us to be. I pray that you would continue to put your hand of protection on our first responders, on our police force as they go out and serve and try to protect. I pray that you would just guide and direct in each and every situation there. And we just ask you to work through this meeting here tonight. I pray that you would be with the air conditioning. I pray that you would help it to be something that's very minor and easily fixed. We just ask you to work in our midst. We ask all these things in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. This time I'll open up the floor for a public hearing. If you have something you'd like to say or share with us, give your name, address, keep it short, please. No takers? All right, public forum closed. 6, acceptance of agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Citizens request 7-1 Heartbeat of Kansas Corvette Club June 25th show. Daniel Shea Paul is going to speak with us about that. How are you, Daniel?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We've got a few event-related items on the requests for your consideration. The first one here, Randy Miller with the Heartbeat of Kansas Corvette Club has been in contact with staff about having a free event out here in Central Park on June 25th. We, as you may know, we do have a public land reservation policy. It's one of the ones we use the least, as most of our reservations are affiliated with like a facility or a building. But we're bringing this to you for consideration because we would like to waive that typical policy and fee for multiple reasons. As you can see in your packet, the show will be open to the public. There will be no participation in vending or sales of goods or services. There will be no official park closure or portion of a park closure. There will be no tickets, anything of the sort. So we were thinking that this may not actually really fall under that policy. Wanted to bring it to you for your consideration and then also your awareness too that the event would be going on here at the vendor parking lot by the amphitheater.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to waive the public land reservation fee for the June 25th Corvette Car Show organized by the Heartbeat of Kansas Corvette Club.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. All right, again, 7-2 Summer Food Truck Rally Series. And Daniel will talk to us about that as well.
This item is a new concept for us, at least in the general sense. You might know Nathan Patrick. He's with the Wing Express. He's been a vendor out here for multiple shows and I think Greater Andover Days and such. We'd visited about having a weekly or a monthly food truck rally here at Central Park through the summer. Rick and I have been looking at calendars and scheduling. We had hoped to do it every month, but June has got so many conflicts. We are suggesting or asking for a May 5, July 7, August 4, September 1, and October 6th for the food truck vending to be approved here in Central Park at the vendor lot from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. on each of those days. As you're aware, we've got a procedure and framework in place to accept applications for food truck vending and to collect the 10% of gross sales at the end of each event that would go to the city. That's the request on this one, is essentially those 5 days simply to vend, no closures, no ticketing, nothing of that sort.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to allow food trucks to vend in Central Park for the Food Truck Fridays from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. on May 5th, July 7th, August 4th, September 1st, and October 6th.
So, so I was asked this week, Daniel, I'm just kind of curious in regards to food truck. A gentleman told me his brothers were in the food truck industry, and I said, he asked me how they go about. Do we have a list, like when we have concerts, do you have a list of people you call, or how do food trucks get their information about doing our concerts or the Corvette Club or whatever it is that we're doing?
We do have a list of recurring vendors that have been with us in some capacity over the years. Obviously, that's more individuals or more businesses than we can invite to each one. So we usually do an application process. We also have a social media presence that goes out from time to time, announcing that we are looking for vendors, whether it be at baseball season or one-off event. I think with this group that Nathan is involved with, there's a lot more of them from Wichita, and that may even expand some of the group we have a regular business with.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I guess on that note, what limits our capacity?
It's pretty much just the vendor lot. I don't know that we would want to go beyond half a dozen until we can have proof of concept. There's gonna be enough folks out here to justify that. We all know that if there's too few, that's not a good situation. And if there are a dozen of them out here and only 100 folks, that they won't generate enough sales to justify their time out.
So I guess, sorry.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
How are we going to advertise this? That kind of goes with, getting
That's-
more people out.
It'll
here.
be a combination effort. We'll put that through the city social media platforms, and then the Wichita food truck group that Nathan's a part of will advertise as well.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Go ahead, Mike.
Daniel, maybe not this year, or maybe even one of these nights, if someone wanted to provide alcohol, would that be an add-on to this? Or if they wanted to have a small band for entertainment as well, just to draw in more people?
The entertainment would be real easy add. The alcohol would obviously require a little bit extra permission on your part, and then coordination with a specified area that would stay restricted to.
Okay.
One more question, Daniel. And it has nothing, so in regards to food trucks, so here in several months from now, there will be several hundred people at the Heritage Square. if they were so choose to have people in that parking lot, does the city issue permits if they wanted to be at the Heritage Square to serve the folks out there? How does that work? You know, off the top of your head?
I have to defer to Jenny and Lance on the broader city policy on food truck mobile vending. I've only explored the public land portion of it.
There's not a licensing process for food trucks currently, but you do have to have permission of the property owner. So if it's on private property and the private business is allowing it, then the city doesn't really get involved in that.
All right. well, we don't
I think
fight
Les has something to add as well.
We've just begun to have some conversations with the folks at Heritage about that public park that's in the center and how it would be managed and how we would coordinate a calendar between their private events and our public events. That's something that will develop over the next
I was just
several
thinking of the
months.
gas station. I've seen them sitting there from time to time. I didn't know if the city collects anything off that when people do business in town or it's. Okay,
Not currently.
good enough.
Mr. Mayor?
Sir.
So kind of piggybacking on Mike's question, Daniel, so could we approve it, with staff's consideration for alcohol sales if it was needed or to expedite it? No, JT? Oh.
Give it a preliminary approval or something
Yeah.
and then staff to.
Would that make it easier on you guys? No? Okay.
No, if we were going to allow alcohol sales, we have to have like a plan in place with where the alcohol sales are going to be and who's going to dispense them. And since it's so up in the air, I think it would be better that if someone comes forward that wants to vend, then they can build that plan and come up with it and we can bring it back to you. The first one's not until May. So I think we've got,
All right.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I move to allow food trucks to vend in Central Park.
We already did that.
Oh, my bad.
So we're ready to vote if we have no more questions. Joe seconded, by the way. So all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. 7-3, Burger Battle 2023 Park Closure Extension.
You might remember on the December 13th meeting, we presented this event proposal to you for your consideration. This is a simple amendment to that, but simply because it's concerning the time of those approvals. The group Catch would like to shift the event to later in the evening, which I think Rick and I were in agreement with there in August. We'd originally on the 13th presented for your approval a closure from 10 to 6 and all the associated vending approvals and alcohol sales, et cetera. The event's settling in on running from 5 to 9 p.m. And so we'd like to shift that closure from noon to 10 p.m. on August 5th with all of the normal approvals for closure and vending, et cetera.
Does anyone know? Oh, sorry, Mr. Mayor. Does anyone know where the Burger Battle has been in the past?
I did, but it's escaping me right now. I think this is their 10th year, and it's been in Wichita.
Was it at the Rotary parking lot in downtown? I think that's where I kind of remember it.
It could be. I don't remember for sure.
Yeah, it's a great event. Yeah, I think the time change is great. Later in the afternoon, summer.
Early evening. Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the closure of Central Park south of Bush Parkway from noon until 10 p.m. on Saturday, August 5th, 2023. Allow for the sale of goods and services, including food trucks to vend, and allow alcohol sale and consumption in Central Park during these times of the Kansas Elks Training Center reservation.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 7-4, Grub Groove Festival of 2023.
Here tonight, we have Chuck Bird. You might recognize Chuck. He's the promoter of the Grub and Groove Festival. He's been out several years to the venue. We have, for your consideration, proposal to host the event on August 12th. We are suggesting a custom reservation package fee. As you know, we've been doing that recently due to the incomplete facilities there at the amphitheater, such as the lodge. So you are considering a reduction in the traditional large reservation package from $8,000 to $5,000. And in your recommended action is the typical closure south of Bush Parkway, approvals to vend, sale and consumption of alcohol. And that would run from, it's all day, 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. And Chuck is here with us tonight. If you have questions, details, anything else he can help us with.
Any questions?
Mr. Mayor, are you going to get on stage again?
If I get a chance, they might not let me this time. I'll tell you, I don't have a question, but I have a statement. This is a great event, and I'm embarrassed to say it was the first time I've been to it, but it's if you think it's not in your wheelhouse, you're wrong. It's an event for everybody, and it's quite enjoyable. So if you get a chance to go see it, I highly recommend it, and it's a great addition to our city. You have anything you'd like to talk to us about, Chuck?
Sure. To the mayor and to the city council and other city officials, Chuck Bird with the Grub and Groove Festival. Once again, we appreciate the opportunity to come in 2023 back with the Grub and Groove Festival. Last year we had to call a slight audible with the tornado coming through, but we weathered the storm and accommodated our guests. That was the main thing. And so we appreciate the opportunity. One of the other things I wanted to talk about was the possibility of Friday night partnering with the city of Andover to do a family orientated event. What I'm seeing far as who is coming to Andover to the Grub and Groove Festival, about 70% of the people don't come from this area. They're coming from out of state. And that's a great thing because they get a chance to come and experience, Andover, Wichita, whatever. But I think we need to really promote this facility because a lot of people don't know it exists. And so we wanted to entertain possibly partnering with the city of Andover to do a family orientated event on that Friday. Possibly we need to get something that's going to get the teenagers, because if we get the teenagers, we'll get the rest of the family. And that's just been my experience of when you want to get the family to come out. So it would be more or less a more all day event for the most part, if we could shape it that way. But I would love to sit down and have conversation and see what we can do to get the city of Andover community to come over and experience this facility, because it's a great facility. So have any other questions in regards to the Grub and Groove? I will say we did call an audible last year on the country show.
Mm-hmm.
I was not aware that you don't get red dirt artists past Oklahoma. I didn't know that. They said, well, you don't bring red dirt artists past Oklahoma. If it's red dirt, you keep them south. You come across Oklahoma, we're not coming. And so it was a learning experience for us, but I wish someone would have told me. But we did satisfy anybody that had purchased tickets or anything like that, that wasn't able to come. So we made sure that everything was done. The other thing about Grub and Groove is all of the alcohol that we purchase for Grub and Groove comes from Andover. We don't go outside of Andover. We use the store right here at the intersection.
Mm-hmm.
And we try to do as much business as we can here in Andover. Our U-Haul trucks, whatever we rent or anything like that, it's come from the city of Andover. So just thought I would let you guys know we try to put as much of that revenue back into the city as we can.
And I think, Mr. Mayor, I think you catered it too with a graduate of Butler Culinary Institute graduate. Was that?
Yeah, she's been with us since the conception of the Grub and Groove Festival. Jody, I think it's Jody's last name, but she's been with us since the start of Grub and Groove, and I know she is a graduate, and I think they named the cafeteria after her, so in honor of her. So any other questions, I'll be more than happy to answer 'em.
I can tell you, Chuck, that it's not uncommon that concerts are light on Andover citizens, not just Grub and Group, but all of them.
Right.
And with the tornado, Megan and I didn't get a chance to push as hard as we'd like to last year, but we'll do everything we can to get as many people as we can here, because I think it's that great an event for our city and for people to get out of their comfort zone and enjoy family evening. So we'll do what we can do and have conversations.
Sounds good. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the custom reservation package of $5,000 for the 2023 Grub and Brew Festival to be held at the Capitol Federal Amphitheater on August 12th, 2023. Approve the closure of Central Park south of Bush Parkway from 8 a.m. until 11 p.m. Allow for the sale of goods and services, include food trucks to vend, and allow alcohol sale and consumption in Central Park during their reservation.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you for this event, Chuck. We
Thanks, Chuck.
appreciate it. All right, 7-5, Oz Wicked Wind 100K Artie and Prairie Travelers Trail fundraiser. That's amazing. I got through that. You know what I mean?
One more for you here. You're familiar with our Friends of the Redbud Trail Artie group. They co-host the 100K bike ride called the Wicked Wind. They would like to start that event on the east side of town this year to help cater a little bit more convenience to Andover residents and folks in East Wichita. They are considering starting at 13th Street Park and utilizing the community building for a base of operations. The fundraising efforts are split between the two groups, Artie and Prairie Travelers, and then those funds would be used 50-50 on the Redbud Trail and then out on the west side Prairie Sunset Trail. So for your consideration is to simply waive the conventional reservation fees for the community center and then help get that event started on this side of town and start from Andover. And Kim Austin is also here if you have extra detailed questions about that event. We can try to answer those for you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to waive the building reservation fees for Artie and AARTI and Prairie Travelers to use the Andover Community Center for the May 21st, 2023 Oz Wicked Wind Trail fundraiser.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 8, presentation Kim Austin with Artie will do both presentations, Artie 2022 and grant public funds update.
In your packet, Kim and Artie have prepared a quick summary of a lot of the projects and efforts they made in 2022. And she's here to give you that presentation, and I can help answer questions if you have as well.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Oh, cool.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. We're really excited to let you know what we did in 2022 and the forward look in 2023. Before I get started, I did want to just give you a little bit of history about that Oz event that you just approved, and thank you very much for waiving the fees. The Wicked Wind 100K started with the Oz Bicycle Club in the early 80s and is one of the biggest fundraisers of the year. When they dissolved the Oz Club in 2016, Oz handed over everything with that event to Prairie Travelers and Artie to take on the fundraiser bike rides to promote our local Rails to Trails. Since then, they've been using the Lake Afton and the Prairie Sunset Trail on the west side. But this time we wanted to try moving it out east. So although this event has been around for a long time, this will be the first time on the east side and on the Redbud Trail. And so we're really excited about that. You know, we get a lot of participation on that event, usually about 200 riders. So it's a pretty big fundraiser for us. So thank you. All right. I think you're all aware who we are now. The Andover-Augusta Rail Trail Initiative, not-for-profit, obviously. We entered into an MOU with the city of Andover in 2016, and it's been a lovely relationship so far. So thank you. Our purpose and mission, it's to promote, sponsor, collaborate with other organizations and agencies to develop and maintain Rail to Trail, multi-use trail. And we also, because we're the 501c3, we can solicit, accept, and receive contributions on behalf of the trail. First and foremost, again, thank you for the opportunity to apply for the community grant each year. In 2022, the way we use the funds is once again, anytime resurfacing material is needed by the city of Andover, we provide that material as requested. We also purchased additional hand-operated equipment and materials for trail maintenance. One of our most exciting purchases this last year was those new, they call them the Stihl pruners that are basically a mini chainsaw. They are a chainsaw, right? So we are very careful with who gets to operate that equipment. But man, what a difference that makes in the time spent clipping tree limbs. So thank you. And then we also purchased additional equipment to collect trail usage data. And you're going to see we gave it a really big effort in 2022. We had 156 days of trail user counts in the spring, summer, and fall of 2022. We recorded over 20,000, almost 21,000 trail users counted in Andover. So that's on the paved portion, and over 9,000 trail users in Butler County. So the trail is getting usage, and that's amazing numbers in my book. In 2022, Artie was one of the winners of the Devon James Cake TV Wins for Kansas recognition awards and a monetary gift. Artie was also selected the not-for-profit donation recipient by the Flatwater Fitness Paddle to Gravel competition event that's held at Santa Fe Lake in Augusta. And we held 12 board meetings in 2022, including special meetings that we had in order for additional organization behind either the NITU transfer or furthering the mission in the city of Augusta. We organized 9 trail maintenance days. And then we also had additional volunteer hours on the trail and different events throughout the year. We also helped the city by clearing the Redbud Trail of the tornado debris to get the trail back open again, while city staff was obviously very busy with much higher priorities. And then we attended various community meetings, working behind the scenes with different events, campaigns, etc. And then we did a very intensive effort across all levels of government to work to get the successful transfer of the NITU from Butler County to the city of Augusta. That was no small feat. In 2023, Artie board meetings are still the third Wednesday of every month at 6:30. In the winter, we put them inside at the Andover Library. And then once it's nice enough to go outside, we usually hold them outside at various locations in Andover and Augusta. Our maintenance days have shifted this year. They used to be the third Saturday of every month, but we are switching them to the second Saturday of every month this year. We typically start at 8 a.m. in the spring and fall and 7 a.m. in the summer. And we post where we're going to be and locations and parking, et cetera, details for the public on Facebook and website. We do plan to schedule a ceremony and celebration for the Redbud Trail in Augusta. As you are aware, Augusta is the winner of the largest alternative transportation grant ever awarded in Kansas. Again, no small feat. And thank you to the city of Andover for your support on that application and that for that grant. And then we're helping the Andover staff with the restroom project at the Trailhead Park as needed. We hope to get an MOU in place with the city of Augusta, continue to vegetation clear in preparation for building the next 4 miles of the trail to Augusta, and then continue grant writing as necessary, and then hosting the Wicked Wind and helping the city with another running event, hopefully to be announced in June. We also then have another fundraising bike ride called the Walnut Valley Metric. That'll be in the fall. So if any of you are bike riders, another great event for you to participate in. There's all different distances with those rides. We will help again with the GAD Community Fun Run Walk Ride. And right now that's scheduled for Sunday, October 1st. There's another event in the works that we'll see if it manifests, but it's called the GAD Trifecta. And then partner with various agencies again to try to continue to secure funding for future years of the next grant cycles with KDOT, et cetera. Continue to solicit volunteers and monetary donations and continue to foster partnerships with our mission. So thank you once again for the opportunity to be here. Thank you for the community grant, and thanks again for all your support and collaboration.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions? Do we have any updates you can share with us about the going over the river? The bridge over the river near Augusta, or were you going to go around it or not?
So the city of Augusta has a formal presentation on that they just presented to the Butler County Commissioners last week. So I would direct you to that. To that presentation, because that's the ultimate factual information, and I would just ad lib.
Mayor, I would share, when Kim talked about the largest transportation alternative grant, that was a grant Augusta received that we provided letter of support and $250,000 to put the bridge over US 54. Right. They will be coming back with a second grant through the same KDOT program for the Whitewater Bridge in the following grant cycle. So that's not yet been applied for even, but I do anticipate you'll see a letter of support on probably your first meeting in February consent agenda to show our continued support of that trail development.
Caught a lot of catfish from underneath that bridge. That's why I was asking. All right. Can I get a motion or?
Just moving on.
Presentation.
Sorry? This is just a presentation. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. And 8.2, and that already checked presentation? And okay, Daniel, I'm sorry.
You're just fine. You might remember we've been through a long process to get the funding in place for the Redbud Trailhead Park restroom. Artie's been very supportive of that effort, and Kim has a check for $10,000 to present to you, Mr. Mayor, tonight to help on that project. And it's a little check, so it's going to be hard to see in the picture.
Mayor, go get it.
But it is
go get it.
$10,000.
It's a big check on a little check. Okay.
Do I keep the check?
I think, well, I don't know.
Semantics.
Donna,
Just like home.
give it to Donna.
Mr. Mayor, I just would point out, it's not often that you have a not-for-profit come to thank you and report out on the $1,000 award that they received last year, and then return that investment with a $10,000 check to give right back to the community. So I would really love if we could maybe give them a hand for this support.
Absolutely. All right. Where am I at, Mike?
Number 9, consent agenda.
Okay. Consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve consent agenda items 9.1 through 9.13 as presented.
Second.
Sorry, that's kind of touching. Thank you for the check. Yes. Any further conversation, questions? All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Unsafe structure hearing 10-1, 1485 South Andover Road, and Chip is going to speak with us about this.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council. As you see in your packet, 1485, we've already discussed it in a previous meeting due to a paperwork processing error. We've pushed the public hearing date to March 14th. So at which we will have the public hearing at that time.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt a resolution fixing the time and the place and providing notice of a public hearing before the governing body of the city of Andover, Kansas, to consider the condemnation and ordered repair of demolition of a structure at 1485 South Andover Road that is a public nuisance, dangerous, or unsafe. Said public hearing shall be set for March 14th, 2023 at 7 p.m. at 1609 East Central Avenue, Andover, Kansas.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 10-2, 1501 South Andover Road.
That one's been done, it looks like.
I'm sorry?
We don't have to do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chip.
Just to be clear for anyone in the audience, that home has rectified their unsafe situation, and that's why we're not taking any action on that item.
Okay, thank you. 11, zoning amendment, vacation petition, Aspen Creek Reserve BZ-BA 22-0003. And Les going to talk to us about that, or I skipped a bit?
Sure, Mr. Mayor, Council, this is kind of an unusual situation where the developer of the Aspen Creek subdivision, something like 15 years ago, deeded a portion of one of the reserves in the subdivision to the adjacent property owner. That situation has lingered on now for over 15 years, and both the homeowners association who controls the reserve and the adjacent property owner who owns this little rectangle of property have agreed that the best thing for both parties is to vacate the plat of that little rectangle such that the rectangle is removed from the reserve, not under the auspices of a homeowners association. And in addition, the adjacent property owner, the now owner of that rectangle, has asked that it be removed from the city because his adjacent property is not in the city.
I now call agenda item 11-1, which is a public hearing on case number Z-BA 22-0003. It is important that if you present any facts or views you have at Do I need to open the public forum? Yes. Okay. All right. I will open a public forum at this time for this case number Z-VA 22-0003. I now call agenda item 11.1. It is important that you present any facts or views you have as evidence so that the information final decision can be made by the governing body. After the city zoning administrator provides the governing body with background information, I will call upon the applicant. Public comments will be heard following the application. Once all have been heard, the application will have an opportunity for final comments. Official notice for this hearing was published on the City of Andover Municipal website on January 11th, 2023, and notices were mailed to the applicant and one real property owner of records in the area of notification on January 11, 2023. The records show that at least 20 days have lapsed between the publication and mailing dates and the hearing dates. Unless there is evidence to the contrary, anyone present, I will declare that proper notification has been given. Although we do not encourage such communication, I will ask the governing body if any of them have received any ex parte verbal or written communications prior to this hearing, which they would like to share.
No.
No. I now call on City Zoning Administrator Les Mangus to provide us with a report on this case. And you've done that, correct? I now call upon the applicant to make his or her presentation on this request and in response to the zoning administrator's report. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this case? Have any written communications been received by, I'm assuming, city clerk?
No, sir, they have not.
Does the applicant wish to present any final comments? We have none, so we have none. Hearing no further public comments, I hereby close the public portion of this hearing. Therefore, no further public comments unless the governing body wishes to ask questions to clarify information. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the recommendation from the Planning Commission and approve the vacation order as presented in case number Z-VA22-0003, vacating the property described therein from the plat of Aspen Creek in addition to Andover, Butler County, Kansas, and from the corporate limits of the city of Andover, Kansas.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 11.2, vacation petition Highlands at Teradyne Z-VA 22-0002. Again, is that, you talk to us about that? Yes, Les Mangus will talk to us about this.
This is another real estate situation where there was some miscommunication or a mistake between owners of two adjacent subdivisions, the Highlands at Teradyne and the Speyside at Teradyne Addition. When the Highlands Addition was platted, it was platted with private streets. And McLeod Circle in the upper left corner of that drawing was a private street. It was built by Highlands at Teradyne, and subsequently, some of the same ownership was involved in the development of the Speyside at Teradyne plat, which wanted public streets in order to use public finance to construct the streets. So in the Speyside plat, McLeod Circle was dedicated as a public street, even though it had been built privately and platted privately previously. But there was some miscommunication between the two groups, and a fence and an automatic gate to the private streets in the Highlands portion of the property was built in what's now public street right of way. So the HOA for the Highlands at Teradyne has asked that we vacate that triangle of property that encompasses their private entry gate. And then subsequently, when we get through this vacation, the city attorney has drafted a license for the remainder of that fence to exist in the public right of way.
Mr. Mayor, we need to do a hearing, don't we?
The public hearing for this was conducted at the Planning Commission.
Mr. Mayor, I move to accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission and approve the vacation orders as presented in case number Z-VA22-0002, vacating a portion of the McLeod Circle Street right-of-way while preserving the subject area as a utility easement.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Employees benefit, 12-1, 2023 to 2024 employee insurance renewal, and Chastity Page is gonna talk to us about this evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you likely remember, back in December at the workshop, we discussed the 2023 employee benefits. Since then, a committee comprised of staff and council members Henry and Carsley have met with our broker to discuss and bring tonight's recommendation. Jayla Miller with IMA will present the recommendations and answer any questions.
Thank you, Chastity. Good evening, Mayor and Council. We've had a busy 6 weeks since we spoke to you all last. The committee that we put together, we've met with 2 times, and it was based on those conversations that we're bringing the recommendations for renewal to you tonight. Much of what is on this page is what we shared at that December committee meeting. So the initial renewal increase of 26% from Blue Cross Blue Shield. We did go out to market and brought back several options for the committee's review. Based on the conversations during those meetings and some of the marketing that we've already done, we're here to recommend that we renew fully insured with Blue Cross Blue Shield for the March 1st renewal, and then move forward with self-funded in July of 2023. So we're going to do a short plan year, fully insured, get you guys an updated renewal year, and we'll still have a lot of work to do, but it'll be fun. So aside from medical, we also marketed dental and your flexible spending account administrators for this year, and we do have recommendations for those lines of coverage as well. So to start with the medical recommendation, so as we mentioned in December, we did go to Blue Cross Blue Shield. We also went out to the open market. Aetna and UHC both declined to quote in that they were uncompetitive. Their rates were above the Blue Cross Blue Shield renewal. We received several fully insured options along with some self-funded options from Blue Cross. These options included several different plan designs. We looked at a high deductible health plan and at the direction of the council from the December meeting. In our analysis of the high deductible health plan, we assumed in our financials a migration of 10%. So 10% of employees who are on the health plan today moving into that plan. And that's a pretty good estimate, especially with a group who has never had a high deductible health plan before. If employees don't know how it works, they tend to shy away from a plan like that and just kind of stick with what they have. With that 10% migration assumption, it just didn't move the needle enough to put it in place this year. And so it's something that we will bring back to review for renewal in July 1 of 2024, if it's feasible then to put a high deductible health plan in place alongside the 3 options you currently have today. So after that analysis, after conversation with the committee, it is recommended to renew with the plan design as illustrated. The changes we're making to this plan design align with what employees said that they would most prefer to happen if changes had to be made for benefits in the last Voice of the Employee survey. This brings the cost down to 16.6%. It was the closest we could get to the budgeted 13% without really eroding benefits too much. The employee contribution percentages will remain the same with this renewal, and then there will still be the 5% tobacco differential for anybody who discloses their tobacco use. The final renewal is an estimated 6.6% increase, which is a total increase of $212,591. The total premium for the year estimated will be $1,492,863. That will be prorated for about 4 months, as we will be looking at a short plan year. So any questions on the medical recommendation? Okay. For the other lines of coverage, and I know this might be pretty small, but on the dental, Blue Cross Blue Shield did originally release our 12-month rates, was a decrease of 2.3%. Given that the city is looking to align their renewal on July 1, we did go back and ask Blue Cross Blue Shield to give us rates for 16 months. And so we also had an option from Delta Dental. After conversation with the committee, knowing that we were going to have a lot of disruption on the medical plan this year with the mid-year change, it was recommended to renew with the 16-month rates on the dental plan with Blue Cross Blue Shield. And that it would align with that 7/1/2024 renewal date. Employee contributions will remain the same. On the vision product with Surancy we placed last year, as you recall, that line of coverage is currently under rate guarantee. So it's the recommendation to remain with Surancy until the end of the rate guarantee. We'll be working with them to align the renewal date to be 7/1 of 2024. Life and disability, including police and fire disability. These products are under rate guarantee with New York Life. They were placed in 2021. The recommendation is to remain with New York Life under until the end of the current rate guarantee, and we'll work with them to also align to a July 1, 2024 renewal date. The age-banded voluntary life and AD&D is also under rate guarantee with New York Life, and similar to the disability lines, recommendation is to remain there while under rate guarantee, and then we'll align that renewal date for 7/1. On the flexible spending account, so currently the city today is with New Synergy. The renewal rates released were flat. However, the city's HR team has experienced several administrative issues with New Synergy. And that's not just the city, that's actually been kind of across the board with a lot of their clients. So we did market FSA this year. We had 3 options from Optum, Surancy, and a company called ThrivePass. After review of the options, discussion with the committee, and going back to Surancy to ensure that they could manage a short plan year, it is recommended that we move the FSA to Surancy. They'll be able to manage a 4-month plan year, so renewing on 7/1/2023. They are going to administer the carryover that employees are currently looking to carry over on from their 2022 FSA, and then they'll be able to start fresh with, again, additional carryover on 7/1/2023. And then the Employee Assistance Program is currently with MPAC. It will be a flat renewal, no changes to those benefits, and so the recommendation is to renew as is. So any questions on the lines of coverage up for renewal for 3/1? Okay. Lastly, our plans for the 7/1 renewal recommendation. So we still have several marketing pieces to do, but we have some preliminary marketing and analysis that's told us it's a good idea to go ahead and move self-funded on 7-1. Essentially, this will mean we'll be moving to a new carrier. We'll have a new provider network that city employees will get to use. And then it's just a difference in how the city pays for their benefits, right? So right now you pay once a month to Blue Cross Blue Shield. In a self-funded plan, you'll pay weekly for claims and then once a month for your stop loss premiums and administrative fees. As we talked about in December, the reason for this change and why we're looking to do this is because fully insured trend is going to continue to rise. On the chart on this page, you can see from 2016, and this is based on a per employee per month cost, how the city's renewals have gone. So there have been some relatively flat years, and over the last couple of years, we've started to see some double-digit increases. This year, the PEPM is going up just $300 alone. And so assuming that the city, if you stayed fully insured, continued to see a double-digit increase, almost 10% every year, we're going to see that PEPM go up significantly more. The self-funded trend right now is about 5.6%. So it's about half of what fully insured trend is. So moving self-funded gives the city its best investment into its health plan and to remove some of the volatility out of the fully insured market, give the plan and the city flexibility to be able to control claims costs and manage trends when they see those hit the medical claims. And so we are going to go back. We're going to complete all of the marketing that we've done so far. And then we'll come back in late March or April, depending on when we have final numbers to the council for their approval of the 7-1 renewal recommendations.
All right. Any questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the insurance renewals from Blue Cross Blue Shield of Kansas for medical and dental and Surancy Vision and new contract with Surancy for FSA and Cobra services is presented and authorize the mayor to sign such agreements.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
The Heritage Third Edition, 13-1 final PUD, the Heritage Third Edition. Justin Constantino will talk to us about it.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The subject property is generally located southwest of Douglas Avenue and Yorktown Parkway. The applicant is proposing 44 total lots on approximately 10.72 acres within Parcel 1 of the Heritage Preliminary PUD Plan. The subject properties will receive access from Yorktown Parkway and Heritage Way, and water and sewer service will be provided by the City of Andover. The final PUD complies with the subdivision regulations and with the preliminary PUD. The subdivision committee reviewed this case at their December 13th meeting and recommended approval to the Planning Commission. And the Planning Commission approved this final PUD plan at their December 20th meeting. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions that you may have.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the dedications on the Heritage Third Edition Final Plan Unit Development Plan as approved by the Planning Commission.
Second.
Any further discussion?
I just have to say, Mr. Mayor, how
Yes, sir.
exciting this
Yes,
is.
it is.
That they're already going to the phase 3, so fast and so soon that they're able to sell these homes.
So quickly.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
quickly. So it
Yeah.
just amazes me that we are growing here in Andover.
It is. Thank you for bringing that up. It is quite exciting. Any further questions and comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Go ahead.
Can I just go ahead?
Mhm.
I move to accept the petitions for paving, sanitary sewer, and water distribution system improvements, approve the developers agreement, and adopt a resolution of advisability related to the Heritage Third Edition.
Second.
Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 13.3 work ordinance, Lance Onstadt will speak to us.
Yeah, so the work ordinance is just that standard procedural step that you guys need to consider before any of the improvements that were set forth in those petitions can actually be constructed.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt an ordinance authorizing the construction of certain internal improvements related to the Heritage Third Edition.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 13.4 engineering, design, and construction phase services agreement.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the agreement with MKEC Engineering Incorporated, Wichita, Kansas, for engineering, design, and construction phase services for the public improvements related to the Heritage Third Edition in the not to exceed amount of $280,579.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Sutherland Edition, 14.1 bid award sanitary sewer water and stormwater improvements. And Rick's going to speak with us about it.
Mr. Mayor and Council, much like Heritage Third Edition, you just approved items in advance of where we get to now. So we are now in the phase where we start to build those improvements that you guys have just authorized. This is for the water, storm sewer, and sanitary sewer phase of this project. The bids all came in underneath the petition limits and engineers' estimates. That's nice. We haven't seen that a lot lately, so that's been good. They were all pretty good bids, and Meese Construction has done a large amount of work in the area and for the city of Andover. We're comfortable with them doing the work. We recommend approval of that contract for $670,096.75. If any council members or mayor has any questions, I'd be happy to stand for those.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Rick, just on Meese, they've done what, North Andover Road and then the 21st? Are they doing some kind of work up 21st and Andover Road as well?
Yes, they're working, well, actually at the corner of 21st Andover Road, they're working on both Cornerstone Edition and on the courtyards at Cornerstone. They have worked on a large amount of jobs that we have, either as the prime or sometimes as the sub on differing projects.
Thanks, Rick. Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the lowest qualified bid from Meese Construction Incorporated, Wichita, Kansas, in the amount of $670,096.75, and reject all other bids and authorize the mayor to sign the contract for sanitary sewer, water, distribution system, and stormwater drain improvements to serve Summerlin Edition. Thanks, Shelby.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 15, condemnation and acquisition of private property. And Les will speak to us about this.
Mr. Mayor and Council, you may remember that back in December of 2022, you authorized the attorneys to commence action for eminent domain to acquire right-of-ways and easements for the Founders Parkway project west of Andover Road. And then on January 10, 2023, you adopted that resolution required. This is the next step to approve an ordinance that progresses that eminent domain. City attorney has prepared this ordinance and can answer any questions on the process if you should have those.
Anyone?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I move to adopt an ordinance authorizing and providing for the condemnation and acquisition of private property by eminent domain for the use of the city of Andover, Kansas, pursuant to KSA 26-201.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I would say that this is probably the least favorite part of this career, I guess, or least favorite part of this part of the process of growing and expanding the city. I know Les doesn't like, it's just not a good thing, but it is something that we have to do as a city in order to grow and improve, and it's progress. So.
I'm glad you brought it up, Tim, and I get a lot of questions from the public that watch on TV. You don't realize how much it gets around, but people often ask me about the unanimous votes all the time, but there's time and effort put in behind the scenes and at workshops to come to this decision. It didn't, nothing's getting rubber stamped. We put a lot of thought into all this stuff, and the governing body has to make hard decisions, as does staff. So I just wanted to take the opportunity to let you know it's not like we just rubber stamp everything, go with it. We have a lot of discussions, and a lot of work goes into it. So thank you, Mr. Berry, for bringing it up. Any further comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0.
Every now and then, I guess.
16, Code of City of Andover, Section 1-101, 16-1, ordinance to repeal and replace. Jenny McCausland is going to talk to us tonight.
Mr. Mayor and Council, this is really a little bit of a house cleaning type item. For a number of years now, honestly, I don't even know how many years because it's been so many. Susan puts together a calendar on an annual basis that you all will approve. But in reviewing the code really didn't acknowledge the fact that we adjust our meetings when holidays, and that we do that through this calendar approval. So it was kind of one of those things that had become practice, but maybe we needed to match the policy to the practice. And so that's what we have before you tonight. The way that it's spelled out now would mean that in the December prior to the next calendar year is when you'll approve that calendar for the next year. And I think that does work best for most governing body members, so you can get those dates in your calendars as early as possible. Be happy to answer any questions.
Or Susan to put those on our calendars.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Hey, I really do appreciate you guys doing it and moving it up into December as far as for planning for the next year. So thank you. I move to repeal and replace Section 1-101 of Chapter 1, Article 1 of the Code of the City of Andover, Kansas.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Nay.
Dang it, now I have to scratch that out. The vote carries 4-1. Public Works purchase, 17-1 tree service expenditures.
Tim.
And Rick's going to talk to us about that this evening.
Mr. Mayor and Council.
Hold on, Rick.
Was to repeal and replace Section 101, but really, I want to be correct in the record that it was to adopt the ordinance that does that. Am I understanding that correctly? It's kind of a typo.
Yes, it was to adopt, yes, the ordinance.
And does the second agree that that was the purpose to adopt that ordinance? I do.
We good? Okay, thank you, Rick.
Mr. Mayor and Council, staff has already started to move some of the trees that are in 13th Street Park that are going to be removed. As you can aware, things don't lay out exactly in the same spot. So we have some moderately sized mature trees that we can move with our own tree spade. It limits us to about 5 inches in diameter. But we felt like staff time is worth that to move them, and we're relocating them in areas that the tornado so conveniently gave us space to put them in. We also were looking at trees that were a little bit bigger than that and thinking, man, it's wish we didn't have to tear down those trees. And
I had some experience with Treetop. I knew they had a larger tree spade. I looked around and talked to some other places and felt like found that was the biggest tree spade that we could identify in the area. Started working with them on getting some trees moved. This is a time of year to do it. We would like to get with them and work out which trees they feel is the best survival rate and the largest trees that they can get, that we can get the most bang for our buck, and relocate those into Central Park. We will continue to move more trees with our littler tree spade that we can do with our own staff, but to get a few of the larger trees to replenish some of those large trees that were lost in Central Park is our desire. We are asking for permission up to $15,000. I am hoping that we can move about 20 trees. I would be remiss if I didn't, let you all know that there's a chance that one or two of those trees will die. Anytime you plant trees, there's a chance they will die. And the larger trees you transplant, the higher the risk is. We will make all of our efforts to keep them watered and properly taken care of to avoid that as much as possible. However, these trees will just die if we don't do this, because they're going to be in areas that would normally, in a normal process like this, they would get cut down and burned. It's just part of the way the process works. I would be happy to answer any questions if you all have any questions about the process.
Do you have spots chosen to relocate to where to put them for the best for the Central Park, correct?
Yeah, so the ones that we would be tree spading out, the larger trees, it depends what tree type it is, and we're going to work with their arborist and try to figure out what those trees are, identify those trees that have the best rate and best bang for our buck. Then we would like to break up some of the view as you go down Bush Parkway and you just across the field now. So plant some trees back in there to give us some, we don't want to put back a hedgerow, but put back some trees that give some breakage up to that. And then we'd like to put some on the curve, kind of on that curve as Bush Parkway curves and goes back across the dam. We had quite a bit of trees in there that got lost, if you remember, and had some nice shaded areas in there. We'd like to replace some of those. The smaller trees that we've been putting along the creekway and trying to add some back in locations that were adjacent to were existing trees that got removed in the disc golf area. So they have some playability issues back. It's not just an open field anymore. But the trees that we'd be moving with the tree spade from Treetop would generally be up in the northern half of the park area where the trees were lost.
Just curious, how large is their spade?
It's a 90-inch diameter. They confident going up to a 9-inch tree. They could go a little bigger than that depending on the type of tree and such. But 9-inch is where they feel comfortable with most trees that they can go up to.
This is fantastic. I think this is wonderful that you guys came up with this idea or you thought about doing this, because you're right. Most places would just destroy the trees, burn them, and then we go out and buy new tree saplings that are 2 inches or 3 inches in diameter. So
it is our hope that we have enough staff time left that we can still move some. We thought about moving some also into 13th Street Ports Park out of the way of the construction, that we can then move back into the area once it's developed and spade them back in. So we have a little bit, because you're right. You're going to put a lot of 2-inch diameter type trees in at a pretty high cost,
I mean, just the environmental sustainability that we could really, save a lot of trees that way. So this is fantastic. Thanks, Rick.
If we were to, sorry, Mr. Mayor, I got a question. If we were to buy a mature tree at 9 inches or whatever, what kind of cost are you looking at?
Well, it really depends on the tree, but I'm thinking you're probably looking in $20,000 range.
Jeez.
If it's one that's been cured for that. I only know how expensive big trees are because when I worked at another agency, somebody cut down some mature trees inadvertently and we had to end up buying those, and they're very expensive if you have to buy them that way. But I do know you can get those large trees like that. It's hard to find them in the Wichita area, but you can get really large trees, but they're super, super expensive.
Thanks, Frank.
Yeah, a good tree homer is $5K to have it installed somewhere. I mean, if you have Treetop or any of those guys install it. It's $5,000.
Yeah, I think it's a great,
$10,000,
I think it's a great idea. Good use of, the funds of city funds and to do it and so to speak, recycle or reuse because you're just going to tear them down if you're not.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move we authorize the expenditure for services from Treetop Nursery, Wichita, Kansas, in the not to exceed amount of $15,000.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Mayoral appointments, 18-1. Mayoral appointments, 2023.
Mr. Mayor,
Yep.
I move to approve the appointments the mayor has presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Update bank signatures. Donna Davis will talk to us about these items. 19-1 resolution designation bank signatures.
As you remember, last July when we had the vacancy in the finance department, Susan graciously stepped in and was our signer until we wanted to wait till the appointments this time. And now that Matt Kane has been appointed the treasurer, we're adding him to removing Susan and adding Matt onto the signatures. This will, if approved, require the council president's signature, and the next one requires everybody's signatures, but this one is signed by the council president because Mayor Price, you are one of the bank signers as well.
All right.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt a resolution designating Equity Bank as the depository of city funds and authorize the mayor and designated staff members as signatories and authorize Council President Warrington to sign.
Second.
Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Bank signatures, safe deposit box.
And this is kind of the same situation. Susan had been on there, but now we're replacing with the treasurer and adding Matt onto the safe deposit box signatures. And I think this is the one that requires all the council members to sign on the form.
Mr. Mayor,
That's what the form says.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Homer.
I move to adopt a resolution for the authorization to be given for safe deposit box when signed on behalf of the city by any one of the designated staff and authorize the mayor to sign.
Any further questions or discussion?
Just want to thank Susan for her time as a signatory.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Executive session 2.1, land acquisition KSA 75-4319. Say it again, 75-4319, B6.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I think you said 2.1. I don't know if it matters, but it's 20.1.
I'm sorry.
The item is 20.1, not 2-1. Listen to executive session for discussions related 5-4319B6. City Administrator, Director of Community Development, and resume in open session at not 8:29.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5.
good today.
You should have stayed in there. I think it's warmer.
Telling you, man.
Yes. Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to come out of executive session.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to authorize the Director of Community Development to offer Equisit LLC the just compensation to purchase property for the street right-of-way for parcels R23682, 23684, and 34151 for the West Founders Parkway Improvement Project.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Member items, let's start with Homer.
Oh, I had a blast at the employee appreciation party, so thanks all involved in that. It was awesome. To kind of piggyback on what Tim said earlier, the fact that we're expanding the city and growing and doing these plats and stuff like that is awesome. And for those of you watching at home that think we just read what's on here and then vote tonight, these staff has put these presentations together, and then we've studied them as well before this meeting. It's not just live action coming right now. So just keep that in mind. Thank you, everyone.
To our workshops if you would like to know what it's like when we don't agree. Because they're not like this.
I'm not sure what she's saying.
We need a reenactment?
Anything? Go ahead.
We had a great disc golf tournament a week ago. It was pretty cold. 117 players that came out. I think that's our biggest tournament. And it was a nice, fun day.
Okay.
I don't really have anything right now, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Well, in that case, I think we should sing happy birthday to my baby brother.
44?
Lance's birthday. So,
49?
how old are you? Your age.
I'm between those two numbers.
So,
Happy birthday
Day
to
to
you.
you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lance Fossa. Happy birthday to you. More on Channel 4.
all right. Well,
Jenny,
I have-
anything?
Anybody
Any
got anything?
staff, anything?
Huh?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Meeting is adjourned.
Happy birthday, Lance.
Don't run away, y'all. I need your signatures. Let's see. Can we start right here and then we finish, just pass it down?